Welcome back, riders. Today is number 11 of 25 days of coasters. Today and tomorrow will mark the only two roller coasters to make the cut that were brand new for 2023. Today is America's representative, ArieForce One at Fun Spot America, Atlanta. As stated, ArieForce One opened this year at Fun Spot America, Atlanta. For those of you who are unaware, Fun Spot Atlanta, as well as two other parks in the Orlando area in the Fun Spot chain, are basically glorified family entertainment centers, or FECs for short. Just in short, it is absolutely astonishing that FunSpot went ahead and added a roller coaster of this magnitude. ArieForce One is yet another roller coaster that was built by Rocky Mountain Construction to make my list. But this one is like Outlaw Run, where it was built ground up. But unlike Outlaw Run, ArieForce One is considered a steel coaster because it uses RMC's iBox track. ArieForce One stands 155 feet tall with a 146-foot drop at 83 degrees. It reaches a top speed of 64 miles per hour, has 4 inversions, and a length of 3,400 feet. I was able to get 26 rides in across my parts of 3 days at the park this past Memorial Day weekend. Out of the station, you have a decently big drop, at least in terms of a pre-lift section. So you get a little air kind of coming out of it. It's also followed by two little humps of air time. They aren't going to give you anything great, but it does give you a feeling of some weightlessness, so it's a good appetizer. After the lift hill, you hit the drop. And honestly, this one was slightly underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, it's still good. And yes, I would still take this drop over the barrel roll down drops on Storm Chaser and or Twisted Timbers. But something about this drop in particular, it just doesn't feel as whippy or aggressive as many of the other RMC drops. But after you hit the drop, you hit the Raven Trust Dive, which is pretty much a variation of a dive loop. However, I was also let down by this element. I was hoping it would give you some more airtime at the entrance of it when you kind of tilt over, but I didn't really find any, to be honest. I much prefer the dive loop on Goliath at Six Flags Great America because that one gives you some pretty solid hang time. The Raven Trust Dive does not have hang time, so that was a little disappointing for me. But at least from this point on, though, I don't think ArieForce One is underwhelming at all, and I love what it has to offer after these two elements. But again, these two elements, it's not like they're bad. They're just a little slightly underwhelming for me. After the Trust Dive, you hit a quick speed hill. This is the RMC goodness, but not greatness of all like the other ones on RMCs. After that, you hit the 0G stall. This is a great element. Awesome hang time and weightlessness. Honestly though, and this isn't really picking on it or anything, but it doesn't feel much different than the other ones. This one is advertised as the biggest, but I don't think size really plays a part in these elements. They're all pretty awesome to me. Now we are getting into the really exceptional part of the ride. This starts off with the Outer Banked turn, and this is the best one that RMC has done that I've been on at least, period. It is freaking awesome, and I love how you're facing the rest of the park during it too. It's ejecting you out of your seat the entire time. It is extremely sustained and, moving you laterally too. It's just awesome. This is followed by the double up, and this is another great element. The first airtime hill does not have the most sustained forces, but it's still ejecting you from your seat. The second hill, though, this is where it's really at. The second hill goes into a really large drop, and the airtime is just super sustained, and I wish RMC had more hills like these where they're just bigger and sustained. This is then followed by one of RMC's best inversions, a roll over a building taking with some pretty insane speed. This element is just unhinged. When Joe Draves designed this element, he was being very evil. It's got great forces and movement all around. Definitely one of the better RMC inversions. This then leads to the turnaround. This is very different from most RMCs. After the arcade roll, as it's also called, you start turning to the right, but then you hit a quick off-axis hill to the left, and then continue turning to the right after that quick little bump. It is a very quick change of direction that almost catches me like off guard with every ride. The following right-hand turn is probably the most sustained G-forces you can find on RMC. I gray out sometimes. It's this it's a sustained intense moment that a lot of RMCs lack, honestly. Before you even can collect your vision back, you're already hitting another barrel roll. This one is another great inversion. I will say it's not as memorable as the arcade roll, but this is still a great moment of the ride and still, again, one of RMC's better inversions. That leads to the famous ending of the ride. You have 6 consecutive moments of ejector airtime. 6 is crazy. It's nuts. And they have absolutely no variety. None of them are outer banked or off axis, just straight airtime hills. And they're not really sustained moments of airtime. They're just super quick. So when I say airtime hills, I guess these are more like speed hills or whatever, but they're just quick jolts of ejector. Some people are not a fan of this ending. They find it uncomfortable with the restraint and or they find it overwhelming. Personally, I like this ending, but I do not love it. I do not find it uncomfortable. I can handle it. The reason I do not love it, though, is because I just wish it did something else. 6 moments of the same thing back to back to back to back to back to back. They could have just done anything different for some more variety, but they hit Control C, Control V 5 times. That's copy and paste for you non-computer people. Copy paste, I guess. They could have done like some off-axis hills, or maybe throw in an inversion, or maybe even 2, or they could have replaced all 6 with 2 or 3, maybe even 4, just bigger hills that had more sustained airtime. And in my opinion, they just tried too much and went for the like, let's make everyone lose their minds approach. And the average person writing this is going to be blown away by this ending. Don't get me wrong. They did that if that's what they're looking for. And enthusiasts even say that too. Like they're just losing their minds at the ending. But I wish they went with something that was a little more polished and had some better variety. That's just me though. But like I said, I still like it. Like 6 months of airtime. I'm just being nitpicky, but oh well. I will tell you though, something I do find uncomfortable with Aerie is the brake run. These brakes hit so fast and so hard. This is the part of the ride that hurts my shins. I always brace myself harder on this coaster than like any other part of any other coaster is the brake run for Aerie. Maybe they could have gotten rid of 1 or 2 of those aforementioned 6 airtime hills to build a longer brake run so that, you don't have to stop just all of a sudden. But man, my shids, they did not deserve that, and it hurts. Overall, though, Aerie is a fantastic roller coaster. I don't think the beginning slaps that hard, but everything after the Raven Trust dive is so good. RMC did a great job with this project, and I would love to see more mid-sized RMCs like this or Wildcat's Revenge, which I haven't been on, admittedly, but I've heard great things about it. So, and maybe RMC's on a more like unique approach lately. I'm not sure if that's all on Joe Draves, but I guess those 2 coasters are just new for 2023, so need to wait out a little more. But with that, that's all I have for today. Have you been on ArieForce One? If you haven't, how do you think it looks? Let me know in the comments below. You can find a more in-depth review with better footage from Canopy Coaster in the description below if you're interested. And with that, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Push down, pull up, exit to the right. Hope you enjoyed the video, and go have your greatest day yet. Choo choo, bye.